Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Finally, we've had a big break. We're back here on the Barflies breakdown. I am Kevin, along as always with Coach Pete. How you doing, Pete?
Oh, I'm doing great, Kevin. Glad to be here. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to finally have the opportunity to sit down and talk some baseball with you. It's been a long
Yeah, it's been like
time.
2 months.
And it seems like a lot has happened as now I'm sitting here talking to somebody that's a member of a 9-2 baseball team that is a half game out of first place going into the final stretch of the season. I mean, like, how are you guys feeling?
Oh, it's exciting when you think about it. Last year, where we had one win, and a couple tight games, and then this year just coming out, and we have win streaks, right? So 4-game win streak, 5-game win streak. It's just feeling really good.
Well, that's great. I know that you and I had chatted a little bit the other day off camera, and at that point, you guys were full game out of first place, and it looks like Paderborn lost yesterday to bring that narrow that gap a little bit. And I know you guys have a couple of big games coming up against them, and one more against Minden coming up to finish up the season. So like I'm really excited to see how that turns out. And it's great to be in a position where you control your own destiny.
Yeah, it was interesting. I had a quick chat with the coach of Wuppertal, congratulating him yesterday on the win, helping us out. Gives us a little bit of breathing room heading into these 3 games. But yeah, he was saying his youth, he's got a really great youth training program set up to bring those people in from the under 18, under 20. So he had 4 pitchers going against them yesterday. So sounded like a very exciting game. I couldn't make it to go scout Paderborn, but we had our second league team playing yesterday.
Oh, great. So now we've talked about the exciting stuff. Let's go back in time. Let's rewind things a little bit. Right after we had last talked, you guys lost a game to Minden, and then just started ripping stuff off one after another. Is there anything on that Minden game you really want to call out before we get into the really fun stuff?
Oh yeah, I mean, it wasn't all bad in Minden. There's a lot of opportunity there. It's always tough going in there into the Lions Den, and they have a very good fan base there to kind of pull up the atmosphere for them. And but we did manage to get a couple home runs. Ilya, he finally came through, got his home run there in that game. Tim did some great pitching there, and so a lot of things to take away that we built on off of that. Similar to last year, just taking what we can from the losses to learn from that, and yeah, moving ahead. So congratulations to Ilya on his home run there. It's really paying off with his at home tee that he built and set up and working on his swing, and yeah, good job for him.
That's great. Happy to hear that. So take that and we move forward the next week. Then the I don't know if the flu bug bit or whatever, but not quite enough guys to have a game against Paderborn that week, huh?
Yeah, we had a couple people fall sick there, and being in the middle of the vacation time, there's several people that were out that planned absence. So the handful of sicknesses there just kind of dug into it, so that we had maybe 7-8 people that to show up. We might have been able to bring somebody up from the lower league for that, but it was just really tough. It wouldn't have been exciting for either team really, because we wanted to have a competition, and without that competitive atmosphere, I don't think anybody really has fun in those games.
Well, and little did we know though at the time, but when that happened, that really set up this very exciting end of the season that we've got coming up, which is really neat. I mean, when you finish out with a home and away games against Paderborn, who's in first place, I mean, you couldn't ask for, but you couldn't have written that script at the beginning of the year. So I guess that kind of paid off a little bit in the end.
Yeah, it starts with Minden. We're tied with Minden for second, and then those 2 games against Paderborn, so it's going to be fun, especially that last game. We have to take the road game out there to them, and yeah, pull out the win.
Exciting, man. Exciting. Well, then after that game, you guys took a break. Everybody got healthy again. And it's a good thing you did because apparently 5 hours is what it took to play the next game. And so you needed everybody your strength and health to get through something like that.
Oh, it sure did. Excuse me. There's a lot of one of our struggles tends to be pitching away. We have a great mound at home, and so some of the times that we have away, we tend to struggle on some of those mounds. And so we went through several pitchers until finally Stefan, our veteran, also one of the men in the our first Vorsitzender in the Verein, but he came in and pitched lights out then at the end of the game to give us that chance to win. Also, some great highlights there. We had Tim, even though he struggled on the mound, he went out to right field, had a super great throw from right field to grab the guy trying to make it in from third. So a 9-2 put out there. And in addition, he also hit 2 inside the park home runs. So hustling on the base path, okay, so the one was maybe to be fully open, there was a little bit of an error, but it's going through and hustling on the base paths is not something that we've seen from Tim last year, and so this year is like great to see him really giving that hustle on the base.
I mean, that's huge. Inside the parkers like that, triples, doubles, knocking guys out at home from the outfield assists. I mean, that's a great time.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's baseball at its core. That do those little things and things turn around. It's just so much fun after talking through last year and talking about like the trainings that you were going through and all the things you were working on in game and stuff like that, and continuing that forward. And a game like this, hustling on the base paths and it really paying off and getting you to that second game on a win streak, is that's really great. It's glad to hear that stuff.
Yeah, and what's really fun to see really is the atmosphere and the excitement that we have. The 2 losses that we had, Wuppertal and Minden, it was really a static game and a static atmosphere that we had with those games, where no excitement, and then without that one play to kind of keep us in the game or keep the excitement going, or the 1, 2, 3 innings, to get us off the field, to keep the atmosphere high. And those were missing in the losses, and so that's something that we really need for those long games, 5 hours to keep us going.
That's a trudge, man. 5 hours, but you came out on the right side of it.
Yep.
Got a win, kept pushing forward, and then Hochdahl the next week.
Yeah, the Hochdahl Neanderthalers. That was
by the way, great team nickname. Great team nickname.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, with that was pretty much get the job done against Hochdahl. So come out, keep the foot on the gas pedal and get those runs. There were a few mistakes that we had to clean up, but it was get in there, get the job done. Hochdahl, they're very experienced. They had a few people out that game, but it's really collegial atmosphere with them. They're one of those teams where they stick around afterwards and we hang out and have a beer together.
Oh,
so it's a great, nice team to play against.
Oh, weird. What sports is supposed to be, right? Fun.
Yep.
Oh, good. So then, now that's really got a win streak going there, and on to Hagen.
On to Hagen. So away game in Hagen. This was where knowing our opponent and knowing the field that we're going to play on really comes into play. We had the opportunity the week before that game. We're lucky that we have a grass field and we also have a gravel field for soccer next to our field. So we were able to go out there knowing that they have a full gravel infield in Hagen. We were able to go out there during practice on our field and really practice those hard line drives, those hard grounders, all also with the sun placement, knowing which way the sun was setting, getting those fly balls and working that. So it was a very great opportunity for us to go in and get some practice and reps in ahead of that game. And it paid off at the end because it was a real nail biter. Hagen put up, they didn't go down easy, and it came up to the end, and we managed to stay ahead those last the last few innings, but yeah, it was a tight game, nail biter, and again, Hagen's a great team, great organization. So
That's great. Now you spoke about the gravel infield, and I want to reiterate what you just said, how incredibly important it was that you guys knew that and were able to put in the practice on that type of a field, because the ball does just act so differently on that kind of surface versus even hard dirt and grass. There's some similarities there, but off of a gravel surface, kind of a loose surface like that, boy, is that a completely different thing to play off of. And so that's a neat little anecdote there to hear you talking about practicing in that and knowing which way the sun was going to be and preparing for that. Those are those little things that once you've already worked on the fundamentals of the game and you can start practicing on those things, it really makes a difference. And I think that the season is kind of bearing that out, it seems.
Yeah, it's all about game planning. One of our advantages that we've had is we have a lot of game film as well. So understanding the pitchers that we're going to be facing ahead of time. Again, so game planning and getting the people to practice ahead of those games so that we can practice for those positions that we're going to be playing.
That's incredible. So then the last one that we really have to talk about is Wuppertal.
Yeah. The Wuppertal Stingrays. So this was our revenge game. After the sloppy wet game where we lost in Wuppertal earlier in the season, this is where we wanted to come out and really set the standard and show, hey, we can do this here. And Wuppertal came in with close to 20 people. I don't know how many. It was quite a full bench that they brought with them.
A big roster, huh?
Oh, it was good. And again, like I mentioned earlier, they have a very good youth program, and as they bring people in, so with their team, that's what they're really focusing on, is getting them the experience. So we had our job cut out for us on that game, and a little bit nervous heading into it. And we just wanted to focus on getting those runs each inning, working through it. And we managed to do that and came out 15-3 on top. So
that's just outstanding. And then, for them to turn around and help you out this week, like, that's nice of them too.
Yeah. The one thing I wanted to mention in that game too is, so we had Chris, who it was 1, 2, 3 innings. The first 3 innings, like perfect game. Nobody, anyone out there, when you realize that there's a perfect game going on, don't talk about it. Don't let that be the lesson that we bring out of that. You just don't talk about it. It's
one of the oldest baseball's unwritten rules, right? If there's a no or perfect game going, just well, now that we've had our lesson in unwritten rules of baseball, let's talk about the Goosenecks.
Yeah, so that was an away game. Actually, we haven't played in Ratingen for quite some time now. We used to be out there quite often. And yeah, that was, again, making sure that we were steady on each of those innings, getting the runs on the board. And, so we struggled a little bit out of the gate with a goose egg in the first inning, but then we just kind of got the ball rolling. Their youth pitcher is only allowed to face 27 pitchers, 27 batters. And so that was our focus there, making sure that we could get through that through 3 times through our lineup. And once we did that, then we knew we were on good footing to win the game. So they did come back, and with the 10-run rule, we were up. They managed to get 3 runs in that last inning, And so it was like some really good hitting with 2-out hitting from Adrian, getting 2 runs in and then scoring himself to get those 3 security runs there to allow us to stay in that, to get that 10-run rule going in that inning. Otherwise, we would have had to play one more. So,
wow, that's good. You like to see that too, right? More situational hitting and hustle on the base paths and keeping yourself in that situation to win. And I mean, if my math is right, that makes it 5 in a row.
that's 5 in a row.
That's a
And
streak.
that is a real streak, right? Yeah. And, so some of the things, though, in Ratingen that we'd also had really was also paying off with practicing bunting. Sven had a great one right along the line on the third base line for a bunt single, so practicing the hit and run scenarios, getting those on the board. But yeah, it was just all around making sure that we at one point we thought that they were able to pick up our signs, and so halfway through the game, making that switch across the bench so that we had a different indicator, so making sure that our heads in the game throughout the whole game. So
that's a really incredible, and that, I mean, that kind of speaks to the time away from the game too. Getting to know each other really well and playing together well, being able to switch sides like that in the middle of a game when you feel like it's necessary, that can make all the difference. And those small adjustments are, I feel like, and I hope I'm not speaking out of school, I feel like those are the adjustments that last year you weren't necessarily able to make, that this year you are able to make that adjustment, mid-game, say, hey man, I think that they got this, let's do this. Everybody picks up on it, and you just kind of took care of business and got through the game with a W. That's really, really speaks volumes.
yes, the communication in the games, so we had, like, for instance, in Hagen, we had Sven sitting in the dugout, keeping score, keeping track of the hitters and things like that, being able to stay on top of it. Is the communication within the game, knowing, hey, I was over on first base, I heard them kind of mentioning something in the dugout, this is what I heard, and just communicating. One thing we do have to make sure that we also tell our first base coach that we forgot to do that with the signs in Ratingen, so he's like, you're supposed to steal, why didn't you? It's like, oh yeah, so got to remember to do that too.
That's awesome. Now you need a sign for switching signs.
Yeah. So which was funny, like last year we tried to do a shift, and we had signs yellow and red, and the red would mean something and the yellow would be something. And I have normally I have my binder, but I also have a red clipboard, and I happen to have the red clipboard on the back of my binder, and I'm just walking around in the dugout with my binder going on. It's like everybody's shifting. I'm like, why are they shifting?
They're just paying attention.
Yep.
even if you're not.
I know. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Things. Yeah.
That's right. See, that's that chemistry.
No, we have fun. We have our mascot this year, so everybody making sure that they little what's it called? Losing the English word when you have to superstition, so going out, you have to, when you go up to bat, you have to touch our barfly mascot.
The mascot.
Yeah.
That's good. Traditions. I like it.
Fun stuff.
Yeah. Outstanding. So, I mean, then now you're sitting after that 5-game win stretch. We're sitting here, like we said it right off the top. You're sitting here at 9-2, and then you have a game coming up the next weekend against Minden. Is that correct?
Yep, Minden's. So this is our revenge game against Minden. So we have them at home.
It's the last team you lost to.
Yes, it is. And if you remember last year, there was that bench clearing at home. So we'll see how that goes here. It's strange that there's that conflict between the two teams, because when you actually leave, at the end of the game, there's no conflict, right? So, but it's a mutual respect and a mutual, understanding that could go either way. You know, we were both two teams at the same eye level, you know, and
Yeah.
it's going to be a fun game. Yeah.
Well, everybody's competitive when you get on the field, and sometimes a little bit of tempers will get going. Yep. Hopefully everything stays nice and cool, and it's just a baseball game.
Yeah, and that's what we're hammering home this week in training is, you know, keep a cool head, you know, leave everything aside, and you know, we play our game, we keep a cool head, and we do what we need to do.
Absolutely. That sounds great. I don't want to get too much into the games after that, right? Because we are one game at a time right now. And that approach has served you guys really well so far this year. I mean, I just really, as somebody from the outside looking in, how incredibly proud I am of this ball club this year. With the work that you guys have put in, some of the early struggles came out kind of hot, struggled a little bit, but to come back, put together this win streak. And I mean, you're coming into the last 3 games and with a chance to really do something. Yep. And however, from this point forward, however this season goes, absolutely the Barflies as a whole should be incredibly proud of the season that you guys have had, but it's not done yet.
Not done. It ain't over till it's over.
Outstanding. So any other hot points out there, Pete?
No, I mean, it's just been a very hot season this year, very dry and very hot. And, you know, we're coming down to the home stretch. And so, you know, let's pull through. We're looking forward to some great games going, and, you know, let's all get behind us and show your support. Click the like button.
Well, hopefully a little bit of cooler September weather make for some really nice afternoon baseball games, and the best of luck to you guys as you go forward. I'm looking forward to talking to you about whatever happens, but go Barflies.
Go Barflies. Thanks, Kevin.
All right.